Welcome into BMOC's Bet Buffet, where we bring in big man on campus. Find him on Twitter at Jeff Nadu. Go over some college football games. Also talk a little college basketball. Jeff, welcome in. How you doing today, buddy?
Doing great, Drew. Season's over soon. I've had a pretty bad couple weeks here for my plays, so um, but I have picked it up a little bit on Low Shack show, so we'll see how it goes. Bowl season will be fun. A lot of conference championships coming up, so plenty of money still to be made in the great sport that's college football.
Yeah, with bowl season coming right around, everybody can start over. But hey, let's start off with an interesting one in the Sun Belt. We got 401, 402, Coastal Carolina versus Idaho. We got Idaho laying 9 at Bet Online, -8 at Chris, so at Bookmaker in America, 52 the total. Man, this travel spot is terrible, but I'm interested to see how you're betting it. Are you laying it with the Vandals?
Yeah, I definitely am, and you actually picked this one for our degenerate game, and we all kind of agreed. This is one that I actually liked. I looked at the card, and I immediately liked this one. Idaho comes into this game. You kind of drew with at this point in their season, they're heading into the FCS next year, and look, they have an opportunity here to kind of finish out strong, go to a bowl game. They have a couple games left. This will go a long way in getting to that point for them. This is a tough schedule here for Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina, obviously based in South Carolina, first year up at Division One, and yeah, they're off of a really tough game against Troy. They got crushed in that game. Now you got to head out into the mountainous regions of Idaho, play at basically almost over 2,500 feet above sea level. Idaho is off a bye here, so they really come into this really refreshed, ready to go, and get a long travel schedule. You're staying in, a town with nothing going on, not a ton, of interest. No one cares about the season. The season's over to begin with. And to make matters worse, Drew, the quarterback, Tyler Keene, for the Chanticleers is out as well. So now you're going in with not a lot to be excited about, but you have no quarterback really. And Idaho's been pretty good against the run, which is something you have to be against Coastal Carolina. They've been able to really hem people up. I think this game is one where Idaho comes out and really blitzes a pretty bad Coastal Carolina team, a team that's really, I mean, they've gotten blown out on the regular this year. This is a bad spot for them. And look, it really is a must-win for the Idaho Vandals. I think they go in. I think they win by 2 touchdowns or more here. I think Coastal Carolina is just a little bit outmatched. Plus, with a backup quarterback on the road in a really kind of not ideal place to play, I think it's a tough spot for the Chanticleers here.
I agree with you, big man. I'm on Idaho as well, so we can give you -8 at Chris right now on the SBR odds screen. Hey, we got another one, pretty much same time slot in the Big Ten, Nebraska versus Penn State. Looks like Penn State's laying 26 at Bet Online, 26.5 at Heritage, 55's the total at 5 dimes. How you betting this Big Ten matchup, big man?
Yeah, this isn't an ideal thing from a rooting perspective. I hate to have to root for Penn State, but I'm going to lay the points here with them here at home against the Cornhuskers. Drew, is it just me, or does it seem like Nebraska loses like 48-3 every week? I mean, they're another team that's gotten blown out on the regular this year. And look, I know Penn State's kind of coming in here. You lose 2 or 3, you lose that tough one to Ohio State, then you follow it up and lose at Michigan State. But they really came out last week with the tough spot against Rutgers, but they took care of business. They absolutely pounded Rutgers. And if Saquon Barkley, Drew, you would imagine he's kind of had a tough couple of games here. He really should be able to get going against this Nebraska defense off of a performance where they gave up, Drew, not 200, not 300. They gave up 400 yards, 409 yards on the ground to the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Saquon Barkley should have a huge day, probably vault himself back into a little bit of Heisman conversation. And Penn State's been shut down at home, Drew. You look at the numbers. They're scoring 44 points a game at home, giving up only 8. They've really dominated 5-1 against spread at home, and they're covering some big numbers. Akron, Georgia State. I mean, they're laying the wood against these teams and pounding them. Nebraska gives up over 5.2 yards a carry. I just think they get another slaughter fest here. And throw in, Drew, the fact that this is on the road in Happy Valley. with a freshman quarterback. Tanner Lee's not going to play. Patrick O'Brien's going to get the start. It's his first career start. Not an ideal defense to go against. This Penn State defense is pretty damn good as well. I think it's actually like a 48-13 type of game. I think Penn State comes in here and I think they pound Nebraska at home.
And big man, I know you're right there in the Philadelphia area. What made you say you hate betting on Penn State?
I just don't particularly like the school from a personal standpoint. Growing up around here, I've really had to deal with the delusional people that are Penn State football fans. And just kind of some of the off the field things that went on with this university and the overall delusional fan base that just seems to forget about it. I just don't like the school in general. It's kind of like Villanova though. I hate Villanova also, but that's just because I'm a Temple guy. I just, it's more or less their fan base. I'm not really a big fan of their fan base and just the overall callousness of their program. So for me, they're just kind of someone I don't like.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, let's move out to the West Coast in the Pac-12. 8 p.m. Eastern time slot here. We got UCLA, USC, crosstown rivalry here. USC, the Trojans, laying 16, 71.5 the total. How you betting this Pac-12 game?
Yeah, Drew, I think an amazing thing that a lot of people aren't talking about just because UCLA is not particularly good this year, their home road dichotomy is unbelievable. I mean, at home, they're really good. On the road, they haven't won a game, and they're 0-5 against the spread, giving up 49 points per game. I know this isn't a particularly long travel assignment here, but it's still a road game, and it's still a game not in their home stadium. Drew, I think Josh Rosen, he kind of doesn't get a lot of credit. I mean, he does, but he doesn't. We kind of forget about him. But I think he's the most ready quarterback to go to the NFL. I think he's a laser-like passer. I think he's a kid that really is going to be able to keep them in the game in this one. We know he's a high-level quarterback. He should be able to do some good things against his Southern Cal defense that's very much average at best. We all know Darnold, who you look at his numbers lately, he's been on fire. He's putting up big performances daily. I think we see a game, Drew, where we'll see 800-900 yards on the, at the yardage levels. I think we'll see a lot of points in this one. I look at UCLA and I ask myself, how long can Jim Moore continue to maintain this dreadful defense every week? I mean, they can't stop the run. They can't stop the pass. I think both these quarterbacks are licking their lips in a game like this. They should have a lot of points, should put up a lot of yards in this game. I think it's kind of a track meet. I think it's like a 44-34 type of game. I don't have much on it. I just like the over. 8-2 to the over UCLA this year. I'm going to go up and over the 71.5. Pac-12 games like this have usually been very high scoring. I see a quarterback battle back and forth. Should be a fun game to watch.
All right, so big man on campus on over 71.5 in the UCLA USC game. Also on Penn State minus 26 at Bet Online using the SBR odds screen right now, and the Idaho Vandals minus 8 at Chris. Big man, want to talk to you about a night slate game, one that I'm actually going to recommend on your show, if that's okay. Big man on campus. Bet Buffet, and I guess I'll go on record with my first pick in the Nevada San Diego State game. I'm going to lay 16 with the Aztecs, and want to get your opinion because I'm betting this because since dropping the two games against two really good teams, Boise and Fresno, San Diego State has gone on the road at Hawaii and against San Jose State and won 80-14 combined the last two games. So back on their winning way. They're a well-coached team under Rocky Long. They come back home. They play Nevada and New Mexico with a shot at a 10-win season. Also, don't count them out of that Mountain West race. I know they're a game behind and they lose the tiebreaker to Fresno, but Fresno plays at Wyoming and Boise State. It's a competitively lined game against Wyoming. I bet you they'll be underdogs to Boise, so they could drop those last two games, therefore putting the Aztecs in. I think Rocky Long and company are well aware of that situation and the shot at a 10-win season. I think that their downhill running game should be able to cover this 2 touchdowns plus a little bit against Nevada, an overmatched Nevada team. Do you disagree with me on this one?
No, I don't disagree with you. Nevada is an awful run defense. I mean, and look, that's one thing when you're facing Juwan Washington and Penny. I mean, you have to be able to stop the run or at least plug the run up. And Fresno was able to do that. Teams like that, but this Nevada team, I mean, Drew, they give up a ton. They give up 508 yards on the ground passing to Colorado State. They have trouble stopping the pass, but they have trouble stopping the run as well. I mean, they've given up. I think they're like 120th against the run in the country. Both sides, facing the pass or the run, they've had trouble all year. And you're right, San Diego State really needs to keep going. As far as the win, though, I mean, they're going to win this game, so I don't think standings are much important. But it's tough just because Nevada's been decent lately offensively. That's kind of my concern here. I kind of like the over a little bit more. I think San Diego State will put up 40 points in this game, 38, 40 points. I could see Nevada putting up, I don't know. I think as long as Nevada doesn't score 20 points, Drew, I think you'll be good to go in this one. I get a weird feeling this is like, I don't know, 41-17 or something. I don't know why, but you'll be, up and over the total, and it'll be close to the number. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked much into it, but I'd lean over, but yeah, I'm not taking Nevada either.
Okay, so Big Man likes the over. You can find that at 56 right now. But I'm going on record with San Diego State, -16. Find that one at Chris. Hey, let's end it with a little college basketball talk. What do you want to throw out there college basketball-wise? What are you seeing? What are you looking to bet, Big Man?
Well, it's been a good start to the year. I think right now in college basketball is really just knowing, if it's conference tournament or not, making sure, or not a conference tournament, a tournament in general, like a holiday tournament, knowing where the games are. You look at a game today, for instance, Temple's playing Old Dominion. Temple's the home team, but it's not at home. It's in South Carolina. So, making sure you know the situations, if a team played the night before, really doing, and I've said this all year, doing your homework on these games, finding out, if a team played the night before, some of the travel schedules these teams are in. And that's why I feel like, Drew, for me early on, you can make a lot of money in college basketball because they're just little things. Just looking at a team like last night, Drew, UNLV was playing Prairie View A&M. Prairie View A&M's a SWAC team. They've had a nightmarish road schedule lately. Just looking at things like that, and just looking at, is this team way better than the other? I've laid a lot of big numbers already in college this year, Drew. I've laid a 50-point number in a game. I've laid 29. I've laid 18 several times. Sometimes you got to lay the wood. When you see a game, like for instance Sunday, Drew, I had a game, Mercer. They were playing a team named Toccoa Falls out of Georgia. They were 50.5-point favorites, Mercer, in that game. And for me, it was my favorite play of the day because I thought I would have been comfortable laying 60 with Mercer University because the night before Toccoa Falls had played, they lost by 101 to Appalachian State. So you have to see just the sheer discrepancies in some of these matches. I mean, App State to me is picked to finish towards the bottom of the Sun Belt this year in basketball. Mercer's finished number one in the SoCon. So how the hell am I not going to lay 50.5? It was a complete blowout. They won by 70, I think. Sometimes you have to just look at a game and know, did a team play the night before? Did a team play 2 games in 3 days? Is a team at home or are they on a neutral court? It's not that difficult, really.
Yes. So what's that team? Toccoa Falls, look to fade them in the future?
Well, yeah, they actually they're an NAIA team, which is below third D3 basically, and yeah, they're a small college out of Georgia. I mean, I actually watched them play. They're amazingly bad. I mean, they've given up 108 points or more in every game this year. I mean, they're just it's laughable, really. I mean, they like play all these tough Southeastern teams and get absolutely worked in all of them. Yeah, they're bad. They actually play coming up here. I think tomorrow against Charleston Southern, or in the next couple days. So yeah, there's a lot of these teams you've never heard of that they give lines out for on 5-dime. So hey, if they're there to bet, I bet them.
Yeah, man. Well, you're doing well college basketball so far. Hope to continue it, and we'll be back next week in some form or fashion with the Bet Buffet. It's Thanksgiving weekend, and we're also going to be transferring here into college basketball season, BMOC Bet Buffet style. So, Big Man, if nothing else, we can close this out.
Sounds good, Drew. We'll be back next week, maybe with a little college basketball.
All right, this is the Big Man on Campus Bet Buffet. We'll see you next week.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.